Well, the old Battle of Alberta went down, and I gotta say, I for one am absolutely shocked that Kachuk took the fight with Cassian. I thought for sure Matthew Kachuk's whole career he would never take that fight with Zach Cassian. I am absolutely stunned he took that fight. I think he realized he was going to get smoked, so he took a knee pretty quickly like Colin Kaepernick, but I am absolutely stunned that he dropped the gloves and he did the honorable thing and, took that fight. I thought, 20 years down the line, he would have been finishing up his career having never fought Zach Cassian and, showed a little bit of honor and respect for the code. Good on him for that. I actually have a little bit more respect for him now. Yeah. I was shocked to see Monahan and Nuge go at it, and I have never in my years of watching Ryan Nugent-Hopkins seen the anger on his face that I saw tonight, so I'm not sure if a cross-check or a little butt end or something there got him fired up, but he definitely had the eye of the tiger and kind of got after it in that fight. If you weren't paying attention, you probably missed a couple good uppercuts there by Nuge. I thought that fight was actually more entertaining than the Cassie and Kachuk fight. There was a little bit of hate on. They kind of engaged for a little bit and then separated and then re-engaged, and that was good. Kind of figured after that kind of stuff went on, though, that the game would settle down and we'd get a pretty pedestrian third period. It was a pretty good Battle of Alberta. I mean, they want to brag about the hits and the contact and it being ramped up, but it was good. It wasn't incredible by any means, but it was good game. A little bit of back and forth. My only, I guess, sort of complaint about the game is that it has to end in a shootout. For me, I've always looked at the fucking shootout as a nice thing for skills competition. Or for minor hockey, to after you end a game, you do a shootout just for fun. But to me, it's not a way to settle an NHL game. Play continuous overtime till there's a winner. It's kind of the way I look at it. I don't mind 3-on-3, but to me, 5-on-5 overtime is exciting too. So that's where I'm at. I think ties are a communist construct too. I've tweeted out earlier that ties shootouts are a communist construct, kind of as a joke, but it's okay. But I don't love it. I'd like to see continuous overtimes. That's me. So that is kind of the game back from the last Battle of Alberta. It's getting progressively better, but it's still nothing like it used to be in the 80s where everybody hated everybody and you tried to survive that game. It was kind of like every game was like a playoff game and it was a war of attrition. It's not that way now. They want to brag up the hits, but let's face it, most Battle of Albertas are, I shouldn't even say Battle of Albertas. Most NHL games now, you're lucky if you get 5 really solid checks in a game. The teams might have 10 good hits aside, or 10 hits counted on the score sheet. But let's face it, there's maybe 5 good hits in a hockey game now. That's kind of where it's at. It's a different hockey game now. I mean, yeah, tonight was a better game than what you normally see for regular season games. There's no denying that, but it's still not the real physical battles that they used to be. If you go back to the days of Jerome McGinley and that, they were just more physical. And really, even in those days, I mean, Oilers were terrible for so long that there wasn't much battle in the Battle of Alberta back then. Games were physical, but just the actual hockey wasn't that good. I thought Mike Smith actually tonight, he played a pretty good game. Adventurous as always with the puck, but I thought his actual overall goaltending was good. And David Rittich made some good saves for the Flames. I mean, stopping McDavid on that one clear cut breakaway where he kind of beat everybody was pretty clutch for them. I think if McDavid could do that all over again, he'd roof that puck and Rittich wouldn't have a chance, but way she goes. Rittich made a couple good saves on Draisaitl too. Some of them were kind of good luck rather than good management. The one time Draisaitl was cutting in and took a shot and almost beat him kind of underneath the armpit. I think that's called 7-hole. And just Rittich kind of got lucky that it was kind of right in that wheelhouse. I mean, that's how it happens. And I think, if I'm David Rittich and I make that save on Draisaitl kind of losing the puck there when he went to poke-check at the end of that shootout, I probably don't celebrate in Leon's face like he did. I think that's probably not a good thing to try to show that guy up, but we'll find out on Saturday. I think I will be in Calgary at the end of April there. I don't know if we end the season against the Flames or not. That might be kind of how she goes. I'm not sure. I think we're having another charity game in Calgary here to sort of end the year. So I think I will be down there. Whether or not tickets are going to be as easy to come by as they were last year, I'm not sure. Yeah, well, I think that Rasmus Anderson guy, after the stuff he was saying after the last game there, I'm surprised people weren't kind of gunning for him, but I don't know. I thought it was actually a pretty, there was a couple fisticuffs, but I thought it was a pretty tame game. Not too much really running around trying to, do damage, and wasn't really surprised that Lucic never got into really much of anything. Oilers had rust, I think, from the break. I think that was pretty obvious. Adam Larson, scores the first goal for Calgary there by tipping the puck in the net. I think they settled in. I don't think they played a horrible game, but there was some rust there, some passes that were not clicking. And I liked Darnell Nurse's game tonight. I thought he made a couple of pretty good defensive plays, and was kind of a force breaking up cycles and stuff along the walls there. So I thought him and Bear were fine for the most part. There was a little bit of you could tell Matt Benning hasn't played an NHL game in a little while there. He had some trouble along the boards, keeping pucks in and making some plays. I mean, there was a few times where Mike Smith put it right on Flames players' tape, but also some of the D were doing that. Draisaitl made a pass that went right into the middle, and Flame wired it, and I think it was more a case of hitting Mike Smith than Smith saving it, and I can't remember who cleared it off the goal line there, if it was Clefbaum or what, but it was close to going in, just an eyelash more, and that's in the net. It's almost all the way across the red line, but a little hunk of snow there on the puck, I think, stopped it from crossing the line, so... Yeah, Benning makes a world-class play, going around every single Flame and fucking putting it far side on Rittich. That was a hell of a play, but he did have his share of troubles in his own end. But, it was kind of, I thought we played a little bit better than what I was expecting. I don't think we were as sharp as we could be just from, not playing it a little bit, but I think it could have been worse, and at least I thought the effort was there. That sometimes that's what you worry about. You don't have your skating legs, and you sort of mail it in, and no, they kept pushing, they kept trying, so that's good. But I thought, for the most part, we were the better team on the ice. Just Larson scoring for Calgary there to get him off on the right foot didn't help. But way she goes. Kick out of Ronaldo there, though, after Cassian and Tkachuk go at it. And Cassian's going to the room or whatever because he's got the penalty, and, Ronaldo... I'm next, I got next. Like, you're not fighting him. Fuck off. You're not even on the ice. Like, and this other, half Oilers fucking nation or whatever, they see this Buddy Robinson, 6'6", 235-pound guy getting called up. And they think, that's because Lucic doesn't want to fight, or, they're stacking their team with goons. And, well, the guy, I think he's played in 65 games in the AHL this year and has 45 points. A few penalty minutes or whatever. But if you go on YouTube and you watch the guy fight, he fights like an old lady. Like, nobody on Edmonton was afraid of him. Jujar could handle him. Nurse could handle him. Cassian could handle him. He's a big man, but he's not going to do any fucking damage to any NHL guy that's been in a couple tussles, so I wasn't worried about that guy at all. I kept laughing when I heard his name. I kept thinking Swiss Family Buddy Robinson. Like, it just brought back shades of when I was, like, just young. And if you're not old like me, you won't get the reference, but... Hey, Jeffler, how's it going? It was a decent hockey game, Jeff. It was all right. Yeah, Lucic really didn't do a lot. Like, I don't know. I think that I think Lucic is a team guy, despite what a lot of people think, and when he's with that team, he gets to know people, and they, become friends. And I just don't think he wants to engage against, guys that he's played with. I knew that last year, when Drew Doughty was taking liberties on McDavid. He did nothing. So I didn't think he would do anything tonight with Cassian. Him and Cassian are friends. Him and Nurse are buddies. They like each other. So, yeah, that changes when you put on a different jersey a little bit. But I just didn't see him answering for that. And I don't blame him, really. Like, Tkachuk got into that. He in the last game, he would leave his defensive assignment to target a forward. I don't think Lucic really respects that. That's, you know, if you're gonna crank a guy that's in your wheelhouse, that's one thing. That's hockey. But when you're leaving your man to go and take a run at a guy that's, basically behind the goal line, and your responsibility is that guy on the blue line, you're not playing hockey anymore. You're just running around like it's a circus. And I don't think Lucic respects that. So when Cassian, wanted to engage Tkachuk because he finally had enough, and he didn't answer, and Cassian ragdolled him, and I think Lucic just goes, well, yeah, he had it coming, How do you defend that? You'll go to war for your guy in the trenches when he's playing the game honestly. But that wasn't playing the game honestly. That was cheating. And I don't think Lucic respects that, and I don't blame him for that. I had a good laugh tonight when Lucic got the puck on the kind of the side of the net, and he had the whole net, and he put it like 3 feet wide of Smith to the far side, like kind of made the old joke, like, Lucic couldn't piss in the ocean if he was standing in a rowboat. But I don't really have much against Milan. I don't mind the guy. I just think that he's not the player that he once was. He's not really a power forward anymore. I'm not sure what he is, but I'm glad that Ken Holland was able to swing the deal to get James Neal. I thought James Neal would have been more physical than he was tonight. He was really kind of very, 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 very quiet, but it's an 82-game season, and if you've got 66, 67 games of a guy that's contributing to your team, I think you'll take that. I think Lucic, his last year as an Edmonton Oiler, there might have been 5-6 games where he was kind of effective. That doesn't work for a guy making $6 million a season. So away she goes. Deal, make the trade. The day that Holland made that deal, I was actually going to tweet out that you're not trading Lucic. It's not going to happen. And sure enough, the miraculous deal is done, and I was more shocked than anyone, and you guys want to fucking rip on Ken Holland for signing Zach Cassian to his deal today, which I find fucking hilarious. Like, okay, the way I look at it is, if you don't have Zach Cassian, who are you putting in his place? Who are you going to substitute in for Zach Cassian? Like, the way I look at it is a guy that can skate like he can, and he can score. He can play with Connor. He can keep up, and he's a legitimate power forward. So you take him out. What do you substitute in his place? You've got that $3 million. What do you put in his place? You're not getting a power forward that can contribute for $3 million and change a season. It's not out there. Like, the list is him and Tom Wilson, and that's it. There's not many other players like those two guys. There really isn't. So, you sure, grab a skill forward for that $3 million, but then that changes the way that you can play the game. You can't play as free when you've just got all skilled guys. Like some of the bloggers and people that want to, crucify Ken Holland over signing Zach Cassian to 3.2 and change a season or whatever it is. I think want 12 Jordan Eberles and 6 Oscar Clefbaums on the back end. And then they're going to wonder why they're leading the league in man games lost and fail to make the playoffs because everybody's hurt. Like, you need a little bit of a mixture of skill and size and grit, and guys that can go into the corner and come out with the puck, and you need a bit of everything. It's I don't know. To me, it's fucking hilarious that we're carving apart, the Zach Cassian deal like it's Lucic 2.0. It's not. He's a different guy. He's a different player. He's got mobility. He's not going to slow down, right away. And if you look at the contract in the last, in the fourth year of the deal, I think it's 2.3 million or something like that. It's very manageable. If he doesn't have it anymore, you can move that contract and you're going to be just fine. It's it's so stupid to bitch about that. Yeah, well, tonight I think you almost had a little bit of the McClellan going on with the Flames. For a while. They were putting Lucic out with Tkachuk to try to protect him or something. And if that would have kept up all game, I liked our chances, because you're inhibiting Calgary's ability to do anything by putting Lucic out there with them. Like, I don't want to rail on the guy, but let's face it, just the puck dies more often than not on his stick. It just it's good for us. Keep that animosity alive. Like that, for Tkachuk to drop the gloves with Cassian is the way that he freed himself of Lucic, because that kind of ended that, I think, right then and there. But you've got, tonight was a pretty emotional game. And I kind of think it's better for Edmonton to, they have tomorrow off, and then Friday night they play St. Louis. I think it's better to play St. Louis on the front end of that back-to-back rather than the back end of the back-to-back. But don't sleep on them either. I mean, you're going to want to get back at Calgary. You're going to want to settle the score and whatever, but you sort of have to erase that until Saturday morning. Friday, you have, tomorrow and Friday, you have to get ready for St. Louis, and you got to show up for that game. Can't just skip past it and go back to the Battle of Alberta. Points are, needed. So you need to come up with a good game, and then go to Calgary. I think probably Mikko plays against St. Louis, and I would go back to Smith against Calgary. I didn't really have a problem with Smith's game tonight. He was a bit adventurous and made a couple of stupid passes, but that's sort of Mike Smith. But his actual goaltending, I didn't have a problem with him. I didn't fault him for a single goal tonight, really. Other than the first goal in the shootout, and by then I don't really put a lot of stock into shootouts, that way. I mean, it could have been over on that one breakaway, and he came up with a pretty good glove save there. So yeah, you know what? I thought tonight's officiating was okay. I didn't really have a problem with the officiating. The only thing I take issue with is when Giordano stuck out his knee. There should have been a kneeing call there. That was pretty blatant. He stuck out the knee and he caught Connor, and that could have been bad. Connor gets his same knee re-injured because of that. You're gonna have a fucking riot on your hands. Luckily that didn't happen, but there should have been a call there. That was horseshit to miss that. I stuck up for Giordano. I was in Calgary. I was at the Saddle Dome when Connor got hurt. I saw Leon get his 50th goal that night. That was pretty special. when the play happened where Giordano and McDavid tried to fly by him. I was actually at the concession with my son Max, but I mean, he wanted a hot dog, so we were doing that, and then all of a sudden everything went quiet, and I went to the balcony to kind of see what was going on, and yeah, I never really knew what was happening until after the fact, but I mean, I've seen the replay a million times. I've seen it slowed down. Connor's breaking wide, and he's got Giordano beat. Giordano doesn't have anything left except a desperation play to try to swat at the puck to get the puck. You know what? I don't have a problem with that as a hockey player. You don't give up. You don't quit. You don't just give somebody a free pass to the net. I've got no problem with that play, but the way I look at it is tonight, he was beat, kind of similar thing, but when you throw your knee out to make sure he can't get by, that's cheap, that's dirty, and I don't fucking like that. I don't respect that. If Connor's hurt there, I think that's definitely a suspendable play. Even if he's not hurt there's got to be at least a 2-minute minor for kneeing. I take issue with that. If I'm the Oilers, I think you should probably complain about that. You should probably send tape to the league and bitch about that. I mean that you've got a legitimate concern there because that's your franchise. He's already had that knee injured. That's a dirty play. That's cheap, and it's, to me, that's indefensible. Fucking, I don't know. That one pisses me off. That's cheap. It's bullshit. And I remember back in the day we used to have a player that would walk that line, and he was categorized as sort of a dirty player, and Brian Marchment would kind of make a living making that sort of play. I mean, Marchment also would make huge hip checks and just play the game hard, but also would walk the line of dirty with some of that kind of stuff too. So I don't care if he's on my team or somebody else's team. If it's dirty, it's dirty, and I don't like guys who throw the knee. I think that's cheap kind of bullshit. Yeah, you know what, I don't know. Like, I'm on the fence, sort of. I definitely think that play tonight was worthy of a penalty. Is it suspendable? I don't know. I don't know. Like, it's close. If you're gonna suspend for that knee, I think one game is suffice. I wouldn't go any more than that. But if you injure him on that play, then you're looking 3, 5, 7, kind of games. I think that's how that sort of has to be addressed. But I don't like to see that. I don't like to see guys throwing knees. To me, that's almost worse than going head hunting. If Kachuk, when he ran at Cassian there and didn't clip him in the neck, if he actually hit him in the head, and gives Cassian a concussion, Cassian's probably missing 2 weeks, 3 weeks tops, right? On a play like that. Giordano throws the knee, blows McDavid's knee, again. You're probably talking 6, 9, 18 months. Like, so to me it's worse. To me it's worse to throw a knee than to go head hunting. And the funny thing about it is I don't think the league sees it that way. I don't think they see it the same way. I think they view headshots as worse than kneeing, but to me I don't think it is. I mean, the effects of multiple concussions can be really detrimental to your life and your livelihood, and you can go way off the page. And on Bell Let's Talk Day, let's face it, guys like Derek Bugard and Probert and Rick Rippon, and the list is pretty long, can end up taking their life because of CTE and all that, and it can get real bad. But in the short term, I mean, if it's just one concussion, you're talking 10 days, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and you're back playing. Knee injuries can be, I think 6 weeks, 6 months, 9 months, a year, 18 months, can ruin a career that way. Just off of one of them. So to me, I look at it as worse. I don't know. I didn't think George Peros being in the building was gonna change anything, and I don't really think it did. I don't think guys change how they're gonna play based on if their mom, dad, or uncle, or George Peros, or Gary Bettman, or Wayne Gretzky, or anybody's in the building. I think you get in that game and you just play. I noticed Kachuk they showed it, I think, at the first intermission there or whatever, but I noticed he let up. He was gonna go after Cassian again with a similar hit to the last game, and he kind of let up, but there was also a Flames guy real close to Cassian, so maybe he thought he hit his own guy if he went after him. So but that it's still he still has this target, and he's still willing to just abandon ship on his own defensive assignment to go and lay a lick on Cassian, and it seems like he only wants to target Zach, which is kind of weird. If you're gonna play that way, you'd think you'd target anybody kind of with the same sort of thing, but so something tells me he's the score's sort of been settled now, but is it gonna subside? I don't know. I think he sort of has that in his nature, and he'll make another one of those hits and sort of reignite the whole fire. Really, I thought it was a pretty well officiated game for the most part. I just think that knee-on-knee play with Giordano and McDavid there was sort of bullshit. They missed that. Kind of like Connor going on, sort of, they said on the Sportsnet broadcast, Bo Jackson there, snapping his stick on the bench. I don't blame him one bit, and I don't blame him for given the officiating an earful. And there, sometimes you'll bitch at a ref because you want the call, because you want the power play. I think that there was him bitching at the ref because he was afraid of getting hurt, and it was a dangerous play. And I don't fault him for that one bit. I mean, it was a dangerous play. Could have been bad. Luckily it wasn't. Well, what usually ends up happening, what does end up happening is refs get evaluated all the time. Every game they get evaluated, so if they are really shitting the bed, then what ends up happening is they don't get playoff games, and if they don't get playoff games, then they don't get paid as much. So for officials, there's incentive to kind of do their job, to the best of their ability, so they can get playoff games, so they can earn more money. But the unfortunate thing about officials, whether it's in the NHL, NBA, Major League Baseball, or the NFL, is uh, I mean, it's kind of like the similar to, if McDavid gets hurt, you don't have another McDavid to take their place. So you're sort of hands are tied with who you can put out there to officiate games. So they have the best hockey officials in the world, but they're only as good as they are. So you sort of have to make do with that. No, the game was managed. I thought we got more power plays than Calgary, but I think we earned them. So the only beef I really have is missing the knee on knee with Connor. But, other than that, I think they did a pretty good game. But that's all if he gets hurt there and you miss that, and he's done for a few months, and you blow the call by not making one, then that's not competent officiating either. Oilers definitely had their chance to win, and I don't blame officiating for us not winning the game tonight. That's not why they lost. Um, yeah, you know what? I kind of fucking hate the idea of managing games. Like, we need an even up calls. So we have the same power plays as them. Like, no, if you're a fucking dirtier team, you don't deserve as many power plays as the other guys. Like, if it's a penalty, it's a penalty. It doesn't matter when it is, who it's against. You know, call it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't fault Mike Smith for tonight. I thought he was fine, and I thought Mike or David Rittich was good too. I don't think it was like a goaltending duel, really, more so than let's face it, the first goal Adam Larson scored it for Calgary, so it was a little bit of a comedy of errors at times for Edmonton. The only goal I really fault Mike Smith for was the first one in the shootout, but by then I don't really I don't really count that as much anymore. I don't know what Smith was doing going like this. The only really fault I have with Smith was he was adventurous with the puck, but I mean that's who Mike Smith is. So sort of high risk, high reward. He put a few pucks on Flames players' tapes, but none of those plays resulted directly in goals. So I don't take issue with him. Draisaitl centers the puck right onto a Flame stick, and I think it was more good management, or sorry, good luck rather than good management. The puck hit Smith, and just by a little bit of snow and a heads up play, I think it was Clefbaum, kept it from crossing the line fully. But that wasn't on Mike Smith. So, but I thought Chris Russell and Matt Benning, showed a little bit of rust, and had a bit of a hard time. And like I say, Larson scored the first goal for the Flames, so Bear and Nurse were pretty good. Bear had a couple issues tonight, but nothing catastrophic. And you know what? Jujar Kara stepping back into the lineup. Thought he was okay. You know, he did a couple things, but his confidence seems to be shot. Like there was a play there where I was watching him and he was afraid to. He sort of chipped the puck to himself to bring it in rather than just carrying it and stick handling. Like his confidence gone. Oh, Benning's goal was was unreal, but you know there was a couple plays on the blue line where he failed to keep pucks in that weren't really moving that fast at all. And there was a couple of passes that were interesting to say the least, but I mean, when was the last time he played an NHL game? We're going back, what, 6-8 weeks? Like, it's been a while, so. I don't really fault the man. I think it's good to salvage a point, you know, in a game like that where we're sort of rusty and not quite 100% fine-tuned. But they didn't mail it in. I mean, they worked hard and just came up short. I'm not mad by any means. Thought it was entertaining. Kick out of Flames fans thinking that Monahan beat the shit out of Nuge. They must have missed the 2 fucking uppercuts that Nuge landed back to back. Yeah, I don't know. Just because you take a guy down to the ice doesn't mean you actually won the fight. It's about who inflicted more damage when it was going on rather than the takedown. Yeah, I'm not sad at all, but that might be the 7 beers that are talking. No, I enjoyed that. I would have liked to seen a couple more fisticuffs myself, but seeing Nuge fight was pretty fucking cool. And the anger, man, the anger and the rage that were in Nuge's eyes, that was special. I enjoyed that thoroughly. Well, I probably should try to get some sleep. I'm supposed to drive the old 5-ton truck tomorrow morning, so I will shut her down and I will leave you with the way I always do. Keep your sticks on the ice and keep reaching for the stars, and go Oilers go. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good night. Bye.